Pokémon Legends ZA is set to release in 2025. We don't have the exact date yet, and to this point we know very little about this game. Nintendo did hit us with a pretty sweet trailer. You're probably seeing some of those clips in the background here, and people have sourced a lot of information from just the trailer alone. Personally, I'm incredibly excited for this game. I had a ton of fun playing Legends Arceus, as well as Pokemon X and Y, where ZA seems to be set within. However, the question does bear asking: what starters will we see in Pokemon Legends ZA? For some general background on ZA, what did we learn so far? I'll just read you this clip directly from Nintendo's website. A new adventure awaits within Lumiose City, where an urban development plan is underway to shape the city into a place that belongs to both people and Pokemon. Find out more basically when it comes out on the Switch in 2025. With that being said, are we going to see the return of Mega Evolutions here? I think a lot of people will be very excited about that, myself included. And also the question, the title of this video, what we're going to be looking into today: who will be the starters for this game? Obviously, we had Pokemon Legends Arceus that came out a few years back. That game was set in Sinnoh, right? Where it was known as the Hisui region. Arceus did shine, a new light on the franchise, right? It was a different approach to Pokemon games. Open world, throwing balls. It was insane, right? Riding Pokemon, it was a blast. ZA, it'll be a little bit similar, I guess, with its own region. Other cities and towns outside of Lumiose. We don't really know much about what this game is going to look like as far as the map goes, the world that it's going to be set in. But we do know it's a Legends game, right? So it's probably going to be very similar to Arceus. I'm going to read you this that I believe I got from a Reddit thread too. It says, with it being unknown if the next Legends title will follow Arceus by being set within the past or instead venture into the future, familiar faces are just as likely to appear as their ancestors or descendants. Considering that the story around the possible Immortal King AZ in Pokemon X and Y has been an area of speculation since the original Kalos games. However, a character like him may have a role no matter what direction ZA goes into, right? So that's just a little bit of background on the Legends games, on what we know about this game, which again is not much. And with that being said, I think the most fun topic about this game, right? We can debate on whether or not it's going to revive the franchise, how cool it's going to be. I think we can have a fun little talk and a little debate about who we think the starters are going to be for Legends ZA. And I want to start out here by saying I am making this video, I'm making this prediction without looking at any leaks. I've not looked at a single leak, so if that information's out there, this might not be the video for you if you like leaks and all of that kind of stuff. If you have theories based on that, this might not be perfectly matched. This is just my theories based on what we know about Arceus and how the starters were chosen, and just a little bit about what I would love to see and like to see in the game. So obviously I'm going to talk about that, but let me know in the comments who you think are going to be the starters for Legends ZA. Let's talk a little bit about Legends Arceus and who the starters were for that game, kind of the mishmash of how they were chosen, right? So first off, Rowlet, a Gen 7 Pokemon, right? So this Pokemon was a Gen 7 Pokemon that eventually evolved into the grass fighting type of Decidueye. So very cool Pokemon, and it came from Gen 7, right? So we're looking right back in this region, Hisui region. It was Rowlet as one of these starters, the grass type starter. Second off, we had Cyndaquil, one of my favorite starters, honestly, which is a Gen 2 starter, evolves into Typhlosion, which ends up being a fire and ghost type Pokemon. And the third starter, which was the water starter, is actually Oshawott from Gen 5. And Oshawott evolves into Samurott, which is a water and dark type Pokemon. And I can honestly say it was really cool to see a variety of regions represented with the starters from Arceus, as opposed to the original Sinnoh starters, right? You had Piplup, Turtwig, and Chimchar. Awesome starters. I'm a big Piplup guy, but it was cool to see a little bit of variation here with the starting types. So when we look at Legends ZA, who could be the possible starters, what's some reasoning there, and why? As we know, this will be set in Lumiose City from the Kalos region of, Pokemon X and Y. Is it possible that we simply get Chespin, Fennekin, and Froakie from the original region. I would consider that to be highly unlikely. You know, they were not found in the trailer for this game. You didn't see any of those Pokemon. I think the formula of using a different generation is really exciting and entertaining, because like, as of right now, right, we're making this video, we're talking about it, we don't know who it's going to be. So I think it'd be really exciting to dive into that and really see some different types of Pokemon, right? Some different starters. I do have one quick theory here before I get any deeper into my thoughts. Pokemon X and Y provided us with the opportunity to obtain the original, you know, the Gen 1 starters. Those starters already have Mega Evolutions. It might make sense that they use the Gen 1 starters. You know, they already have Mega Designs, all that good stuff. Being born into Pokemon Gen 1, that was my first gen, it would personally make me really happy. Bulbasaur is the absolute GOAT. But I do think it would be not a big hit with the greater fan base. We've seen these starters so often. My guess is that we do get 3 different starters, but I do want to leave that low hanging fruit there, that it is possible the Gen 1 starters do make an appearance here. Again, if we're looking at 3 different starters that are not from X and Y, let's start with the original formula that was provided from Arceus. Arceus gave us a Pokemon from Gen 2, Gen 5, and Gen 7, which would lead me to believe that we may get starters from other gens, excluding Gen 1, which were already available in X and Y, and that would leave us, I'm doing a lot of mathing here, with Gen 3, Gen 4, and perhaps Gen 8 as possible solutions for where these Pokemon will come from. I would think that Gen 9 probably won't be included. That game was just released, you know, that's fresh. I think Gen 3, Gen 4, and Gen 8 are where these Pokemon are going to come from. With that being said, what are my predictions for the starters for Pokemon Legends ZA? Let's start with Gen 3. So with this theory that I'm going with here, with Gen 3, you have these 3 Pokemon as options. Trico, the grass type, Mudkip, the water type, and the fire type, Torchic. Personally, Gen 3 is my favorite gen, so I would really love to see, you know, these represented in this game. With Gen 4, you have water type Piplup, grass type Turtwig, and fire type Chimchar. With Gen 8, you have Grookey, the grass type, Scorbunny, fire type, and Sobble, the water type. That leaves us with 9 options, and obviously we have 3 of each type. Who do I think is going to be represented in ZA? I'm going to start with the grass type. I think we land on, drum roll, Turtwig. Yes, Turtwig, one of the coolest starters. I think it would be incredible to have some representation from the incredible Sinnoh region of Gen 4. Yeah, let's go with Turtwig here. Obviously, it evolves into Grotle, and eventually it evolves into Torterra, which is honestly one of the coolest character models. It's got a giant tree on the back of it, so we could see this looking pretty cool, which ends up being a grass and ground type. Pretty useful. Obviously grass type has a lot of weakness, but ground type is clutch to have in a lot of scenarios. I think Torterra will be sick, so I'm gonna go with Turtwig for our grass type here. For our water type, let's go, drum roll please, Mudkip. Yes, Mudkip, one of the best starters, sick water starter. I think it's an awesome option here. The only real caveat is that it does evolve into Swampert, and Swampert is a water and ground type. So if we went with these, they'd have to mess with some of the typings, because then we'd have 2 ground types with the starter options. So maybe I'm wrong on this one, but this is just what I kind of want to see, what I think could happen. Swampert does also have a Mega Evolution. There is a Mega Swampert. I could see it being this. Can we get some Gen 3 representation here in ZA? We will find out, but that's who I'm going to go with for the water type. All right, and lastly, we have to figure out who's going to be the fire type. We're only left with Gen 8. We already know who this is. No need for a drum roll. I'm going with Scorbunny as the fire type for Legend ZA. Why would I go Scorbunny here? Well, I think the last gen, or I guess the second to last gen, Gen 8, it was an underrated generation. Sword and Shield were actually pretty fun games. That might be a hot topic. That might be against the grain for me to say, but I am going to go with Scorbunny. Pretty cool character model as well. Evolves into Raboot, which eventually evolves into Cinderace. Cinderace, very cool. It's a fire type, and you can tell it's already kind of built to be a fire fighting type. So I could see we get a firefighting type with Score Bunny, and that would get us a nice rounded 3 for our starters. So again, we're gonna go Turtwig, Mudkip, and Score Bunny for our starters for Legends ZA. And that's just my prediction, guys. You gotta let me know in the comments what you think we're gonna get when it comes down to this game getting released. I'm sure we'll get some more information relatively soon. 2025 is right around the corner, so we're probably gonna get a cool trailer here soon. We might get some extra stuff. We might find out these starters sooner than later. So I wanted to get this video out to just kind of talk about it. If you've seen the leaks, if you already know what you think it's gonna be, hey, good for you. I don't like messing with leaks. I like just seeing everything for the first time when it's released officially. But that's who I think it's gonna be, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. Who do you think it's gonna be? Who do you think these starters will be for Legends ZA? You have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Peace.